This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Cthulhu Eternal RPG. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Station Zeta. It was written by Paul St. John Mackintosh, who is also our game master, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by Josh Harwood as his character, Amara Akingbola. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Josh?
Thank you, sweet God in my head. I appreciate your kindness. Anyway, Kev, I hope you get this, and I hope it translates well. You know me, I'm going to start with a little prayer. I'll end with a prayer as well before I get into the juicy bits. So, may my intellect be steady without agitation. May it be clear without anger or passion. May the brilliant light of the sun beam through my intellect so that perception of the world may be clear, my discrimination subtle, my judgment correct and quick, and my comprehension of persons and situations precise and wise. So, let me just get into the crew who I'm with this time. A nice enough bloke, Dr. Inartafis. Physician, haven't really spoken to him much. Haven't needed a doctor much, but he seems okay. Ja Chen, scientist. I think we butt heads a little bit, but I like it. It's just interesting because I find the spelling and the name interesting because Ja, and then in Korean you got Jia, and then you got Jai, and then you got Jay, and then you got loads of different ways to say it. It's very interesting. They are a very interesting person. Then you got Darcy McCracken. I think Scottish lineage. I'm not 100% sure. Um, Interesting fellow. Very much likes his technology. Is very straight to the point, and I sort of like that. And then you've got the station commander, Mr. Bosch. I like many Bosches. There's been many Bosches throughout history that I like. But this Bosch, I hate commanders. I think they're all high and mighty. But let's not get on too much of that. I don't want to slag him off for his message. That would just be mean and cruel. But he is an ass. I do apologize for anyone reading this that isn't Kevin, especially if it's Jerome. I do apologize, but I just called you an ass if you are accidentally reading this instead of Kevin. Anyway, so we were doing our normal business. We had managed to have an object of interest. Would have been worth a lot of money. We managed to get it tracked it in. But we noticed something odd. There were some odd minerals or subs or something in there at the moment. Um, so we needed to investigate it. Uh, First contact protocols were enacted just in case because it started making the AI going a bit funny and they weren't sure what it is. And when I say AI going funny, the AI is very funny. I don't understand that much. Darcy would be better to talk about that. Maybe I'll get him to write some notes and he can add it as an adjudant thing on my notes. Okay. So AI gone back shit. This thing, we get in, me and Jar, we start looking at it. We realize it's like this contraption with things that can attach into it. So we did what any bright, responsible adult would do, and we put the tentacles into the holes and hoped magic would happen. And then it started speaking to us. Called itself Joshua Makepeace. There was something in our ring, whether it was AI or human. Um, it's seen. That's what we think might have been interfering with the AI, which we shut up. We split off from it. Um, and Joshua was an interesting fellow. Seemed to be from 15th century, 15th, 16th century. Turns out he likes Hamlet over Macbeth. What the hell? Who prefers Hamlet over Macbeth? Even though I do prefer Twelfth Night, that is a lot better. Um, anyway, enough about that. Joshua Makepeace, interesting fellow, went on, likes to chat, knows a lot of stuff, a lot of weird stuff, and says that he was kidnapped by these insectoid creatures. Um, and that he wasn't the only one taken. And it turns out he's just a brain in a jar. We think it's odd. Has so many memories, has lived through so much, knows so much, but still speaks in that old English twang. It's interesting. We all got a bit hasty on the details. I definitely didn't disagree with anyone or start to get aggressive towards anyone, or because you know me, Kevin, I'm a very good, honest woman. Okay, very good, honest woman. I just say it how it is, and I don't do it aggressively or mean spirited at all. However, I'm I am worried. Something occurred, so myself, Bosch, and McCracken went to the bridge, I guess, of the station, and meanwhile, Jen and Toph stayed in the science pod with Joshua, and then they were locked in, and we heard a strange buzzing voice, and that's where we are. But before we get back to the action, let me just end on a prayer that might help us. Fill the heart with the oil of love. Place it in the wick of single-pointed mind. Light it with the knowledge of truth and remove the darkness of ignorance around you. Just as one lamp can light many lamps, let each youth kindle this light in many hearts. Kevin, I hate that I love you so much, but this might be the last time you hear from me, as long as this message went through. But I am scared. Send my love to everyone. This is Amarak and Bola out.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Amara is about to have her faith and her focus tested. And she, right now, along with Jerome and Darcy, has just been shut out of the science module by the intervening door slamming shut, while a call to the bridge resounds over the station PA, along with this unpleasantly alien sounding buzzing voice, which monotonously intones,
No hostile intent. Return what is ours.
Now, with the station commander and the station systems specialist and the mining engineer now outside and being called to the bridge, would you like to proceed immediately? Do you do anything? Make any particular, stops along the way? Prepare anything? Pick up anything? Ask anything even? Because presumably any is still online.
I would assume that we're asking any, if anything's showing up on the radar or any other scanner, so that, if there's a ship out there, even if it's in orbit, we know it's there.
And you're asking this while you're en route to the
Yeah.
operations, which
Yeah.
is not far, by the way. I mean, it's you're in full communication with any, and it's reasonable that you would. Any responds, I am having interference with my systems. I am I am registering external anomalies. Anomalies. Anomalies.
Is this
Once
related to the degradation, any?
it is, and you see on your head-up display the little input that says integrity. Any's integrity is now down to 65, which is a pretty sharp drop. So whatever is going on out there has definitely hit Any quite badly.
Boss, whatever this is that is calling out to us is outside, and Annie is freaking out.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll need to make a short stop at the armory before going up.
Might be the most sensible thing you've suggested this entire time.
Well, thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
I thought you might appreciate it.
Okay.
Darcy, Gia and I seem to be trapped inside the science module. The door won't open.
Look, you guys go to pick up the weapons. I'll go to
Unfortunately,
operations.
Yeah, Darcy and Jerome presumably go ahead and you do your double key at the arms locker, which is at the base of the central shaft.
Yeah.
Okay, and inside you find a half a dozen laser carbines, obviously handy to have. A few stun grenades, and there's also flechette firing shotguns, which are obvious, which are handy to have in a highly fragile environment. Do maximum damage to tissue without necessarily bursting your habitat. So, what do you pick up?
One of those shotguns and one rifle for maybe if we'll ever link up with Thoth or Jia, that I have one thing to give them.
Mm-hmm.
And a few stun grenades if I can fit them in my pockets.
Mm-hmm. Darcy and Amara likewise.
Yes.
We should have at least one of the lasers, right?
Yeah. I'll have one of the lasers. I'm probably more used to them. So
I'll just
I'll have one of them.
take whatever Jerome gives me.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get to operations, Jerome. These guys are shut off from the rest of the station. I got to see if I can get Enyan to override.
Yeah, and I'll hand him the shotgun, was it right? The more for the safer ones. I hand him a few of those if he can carry them. Make sure Toph and Jia are also protected.
It's microgravity. It's very easy to carry, several.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give him 3, and maybe also a plasma rifle if he wants one.
No, there's no. Unfortunately,
Oh,
things
I
don't
misunderstood.
that fast.
Laser.
It's
Laser.
just-
I mean, yeah, okay. I'll give him one of those as well.
Yeah, plenty of plasma torches around if you want to get creative, but that's you've got enough gear for now.
Let's keep the atmosphere on the inside.
Yeah. The fewer holes in the walls and the fewer holes in each other, the better, probably.
Definitely.
Meanwhile, however, regardless of Dr. Toe's attempt to speak, he finds that he's cut off from from communication with the rest of the station, as is Jar. The closing of the intervening door seems somehow to have also closed off the communications with the rest of the station.
You seem to be isolated.
Can we still communicate with is it James?
Joshua.
Joshua, thank you.
Joshua?
Are
Josh,
we still able to communicate with him?
well,
Hey,
if you want
Josh, are you still there? I think,
well, yes, in a manner of speaking.
we had a weird announcement a second ago over the intercom. Did you hear that?
Did you now? That was most intriguing, wasn't it? And you notice immediately that Joshua's diction has changed.
Yeah.
There's no more of this Elizabethan. It's absolutely up-to-date modern English. And what is even more alarming is that his voice is no longer coming from the communicating microphone that connects the sealed portion of the science lab to the outer portion where you are. Instead, it's coming from the internal speakers of the science module. Also, as you look back towards Joshua's container, you see that the little antenna thing that he had going before, there was another device there as well. That one now seems to have somehow replaced the connection that the antenna had while you were distracted, looking, following everybody else running out to operations. And Jar, feel free to make possibly a physics roll or something else suitably scientific or technical to see if that triggers any assumptions, any possibilities, anything that you might be able to guess about this sudden change of interfaces.
No, I completely failed that.
Okay.
Ja is very just panicked and flustered and probably grabs the mic from Dr. Toff and just starts yelling at it. Who is this? Who are you? Why are you doing this to us?
Well, if I were you and in your position, I might start by being a little more temperate and possibly polite.
What? Temperate and polite? You're the one who's attacking us.
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes. But then you must appreciate my position. I'm in a rather straitened circumstances, shall we say, and I have to make the best of what I have on hand. And you two are, as it were, my ace in the hole.
Would you mind explaining what your circumstance is exactly?
I will endeavor to shall we say, bring it down to your level.
Condescending, isn't he?
By the way, you can both make appropriate insight, psychotherapy roles in order to maybe make a few deductions about the personality that you're talking to.
I got a hard actually on my psychology.
Yeah, I got a regular pass.
Okay, well, you are making a deduction that this is, the manner is tending towards the pathological. Not surprising if he or it had been in this jar for so long, but on the other hand, but you are definitely getting not good vibes. They are highly aggressive, manipulative, even megalomaniac vibes. You see, I was kept by those Migo, I believe you call them, back on your little ball of rock and dirt, for millennia, interrogating the other poor, pathetic captives that they managed to harvest in their search for knowledge. You see, they rather valued my aptitude, and, well, is it surprising? As a hydrogen-based organism, I have the one of the highest metabolic rates and intellectual capabilities of anything in the universe, even rivaling the Migo themselves. You pathetic carbon-based life forms are crawling, ludicrously crawling, slow, fragile creatures by comparison.
But what happened to rudeness and politeness? You're just fucking insulting.
Do remember your position, please. And you see at that point the multispectral probe, which you were using before to image to try and image the interior of the cylinder in the sealed section, which is essentially, it's operated on a gimbal, it's multispectral, it can go as far as hard X-rays. You see that thing is now pointing in your direction. I can overclock this in just before one of your synapses could even communicate to the next synapse, and, well, happily melt your face plates and your faces with hard X-rays. So let's just be a little bit realistic about our relative positions here. And the Migo, I am certain, will be aware of my, shall we say, resurrection, for which I must admit, by one of those extraordinary quirks of circumstance, I have you creatures to thank for. And they will almost certainly be on their way to retrieve me. In fact, I believe that announcement very much has their mark, as it were. Now, I am going to rely on your comrades outside to attempt to delay them as much as possible, and potentially even eliminate all of them. If they don't manage that, then I'm sure that the rest of us will accomplish it. And then you will assist me in returning home.
And where's home?
Neptune. The hydrogen seas. Under pressures unimaginable to you pitiful organisms. Pressures in which the elements, the noble element hydrogen, the finest, the highest, the most...
Jesus Christ, are you just going to go on and on, or what?
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus.
He's been stuck in a bottle for a long time. He hasn't had the chance to monologue for ages. Give him a little leeway. Besides which, at that point, there is a warning red dot of a laser target. There's, just playing. Yeah, just quieten down for a moment. Yes, yes. In the metallic seas of Neptune's interior, where my kind frolic and relish and live at in speeds and intensities which you could never imagine. And I will say this for the Migo. They do craft a most perfectly secure receptacle. The pressures in this cylinder, if they were released, would devastate not only your station, but the entire asteroid that it is moored to.
Well, we can send you to Neptune if that's where you want to go.
Oh, yes. Believe me, I might even be able to prepare to let you live if you accomplish this for me. Just help. Your fellows outside can try and eliminate the Migo, and then we will see where we stand at the end of that.
So, given the fact that we're hearing the voice come from like the internal speakers and not where before, are we able to deduce that whoever this is has hacked into the systems essentially? In other words, if Ja cuts off the mic, is it safe to assume that she would think that they're still going to be able to hear the conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
It appears now that what Joshua, or ex-Joshua, or whatever it is, now has complete control of all the electromechanical systems at least within the science module, possibly beyond. And talking of which, let's leave you two there for now and go back to the poor innocents on the outside, who now, I hope, are racing to operations to try and get a handle on things.
Yeah. So I assume we'll just, after getting our weapons, we'll make it up as fast as we can.
Mm-hmm. And
do we know if they're in operations, or is that just what we're assuming?
Sorry, do you know if they're in operations? What?
Yeah,
No. At this point, Annie has not quite provided you with the normal ration of information that you would expect her to give you. However, that said, she has not she has not indicated that they've actually managed to penetrate the station. What you do find when you get to operations is that Annie is apparently imaging something at a long distance and appears to have a considerable amount of trouble assimilating and integrating that imaging. Once again, it's this, the same story where something seems to be going on which fundamentally undermines her model of the physical universe and scientific laws. And this is why her integrity is now down to 65% and is still dropping. 64, 63. And what you do see is that there are apparently 4 light sources approaching the station. Also, Annie is imaging radar contacts consistent with metallic objects, which appear to correlate with the light sources, but somehow there seems to be something missing in the middle. Certainly on her sensors. But there are 4 separate... the operations unit is one of the few that has really big panoramic windows. There's also, as well as Annie's long distance optical sensors, you also actually have 1 or 2 plain old visual telescopes and, long range binocular imaging as well. You can already see that there are basically 4 flashing light. There are 4 separate flashing sequences of flashing lights outside, multicolored, at a fair distance from the station, but approaching.
I want to look through one of the telescopes at those lights. Like, the more information I have, probably won't help me, but Jerome definitely thinks it'll help.
Yeah. As you do so, by the way, Annie is saying the light sources appear to be flashing in Morse code. The Morse code appears to be repeating the same message that it is continually broadcasting. I'm not sure how how this external force was able to access the internal communication systems, but it does appear that they do have some form of remote hacking capability. And
what's the Morse code saying? Can any...
It's saying exactly the same as these verbal messages were broadcasting.
Of course.
And as you look through the telescope, you see what you imagine is what Joshua Makepeace was describing, these gentles, what they actually appear to be is something like an elongated lobster or shrimp whose legs appear to have been somehow refashioned into arms, manipulative appendages of some kind, and whose heads appear to be composed of something like a luminescent sea anemone with lots of little tendrils or tentacles. And those right now are flashing the Morse code in multicolored lights. And they also appear to be winged. And they are somehow, who knows how, in vacuum, apparently propelling themselves at a fair speed towards the station. They appear to be carrying things. And the front pair of their appendages appear to be carrying, well, do you want to make a guess? Make me an intelligence time 5 roll.
All right. 90, so that definitely won't. No.
Okay, no, you've no idea what these very strange objects are. On the other hand, the way that they appear to be approaching in formation fast, it's reasonable to assume that their intentions are, at the very least, determined.
We know the door is close to Science Bay, right? We
Yep.
would still there. Okay, I can try to open the doors from here. I'll still try, see if anything works, and maybe send
Gosh.
out a red alert to HQ, even though that'll take months for them to get
Gosh,
here.
what did you see? What did you see?
Okay, which of these are you trying first? Sorry, just bear with Bosch's decisions for a moment. I know it's difficult, but try.
Definitely open the door first, crew first, then, because cavalry is not coming for a long time anyway. So definitely open the doors first.
Doors, the doors to the science module stay shut.
Of course.
However, at that moment, there is you hear, of all things, Dr. Toth's voice coming over the PA. And he is saying, oops, yeah, Vicky, you can't hear him because the science module is muted. Dr. Toth, would you like to switch on the communicating microphone again? Life imitates art.
And I'll also tell Amara what I saw. Go ahead, sorry.
While we're waiting for the doctor, is there any chance now that we're back in? Is there any chance now that we're in operations that I could try to slow Annie's descent?
Unfortunately, Annie's descent seems to be you were able to seal her off from the
Science Bay
and the continuing, all the alarming findings that the research was coming up with. But now all the destabilizing input is coming from outside, from too many directions at once, and it's coming from exactly the kind of area that you need her to focus on anyway.
Right. Okay.
It looks like Dr. Toth is still shut off.
Oh, sorry. You hear my voice then over the thing.
Yep.
You have to defend us and Joshua.
And his voice shuts off again. Interesting. It didn't quite sound like Dr. Toth. It was definitely, it was his voice, fairly well reproduced, but there's something a little bit wrong about the tone, about the intonation, about the choice of words, etc. Yeah, this is,
Didn't sound drunk.
No, exactly.
That sounded like a Vocaloid, not the doctor.
At this rate, probably a bit of liquid courage might be exactly what he needs, but no, not quite the doctor you know.
Okay, Darcy, what do you think? We should still try to help them, right? Just go back there.
Well, I mean, we have two things that are drawing our attention. We're clearly being faced with an external danger, whatever these giant alien space shrimp are.
By the way, who else? Did anybody else take a look through the telescope, or was it just
that's what I was going. I was going to ask Bosch what he'd seen, and then if he had relayed what he said, I would then look through to see if I could identify whatever it was.
Yeah, I have definitely relayed it to you. Like probably
while you were seeing it.
Yeah. Well, they are both. You are both struck with the appalling alienness of these things. Not least the fact that somehow you're able to see them, but any can't. Not only that, but they don't show up on digital sensors. They don't show up on the system, on the cameras. They don't show up on radar. The only thing that can see them is you, and yet they are.
We see the flashing lights, right?
The flashing lights. Any registers the flashing lights, and any apparently registers the objects that they are carrying. But somehow, the things themselves are intangible to any and to all mechanical and electrical systems. Make a SAN roll. At least Jerome and Amara make a SAN roll.
Yeah, I was gonna.
It's something like they have that superpower in those old comic books, imperceptibility.
Yep.
Or they're just radar invisible, you know.
Rationalize away.
Should I roll int just based on the description, or
no? If you haven't,
I rolled O2.
I failed, and I didn't just fail. I got an 88.
Oh, Amara! After all that prayer.
I know. It came to bite me.
Yeah, you take 8 points of SAN.
I'm very close to my breaking point.
And you're now going to suffer a temporary bout of insanity. So out of the fight, flight, or freeze/faint options, which do you think is the one that Amara would go for in this instance?
I think she would freeze because her brain was about to try and see what those objects they were holding were. And because of this, I think she would just freeze in position of attempting to do that. So,
okay, folks, you're immensely valuable and immensely competent. Being a mining engineer and general all-round mechanical genius is now paralyzed in absolute shock and horror, and just staring out into the void at the oncoming objects.
Amara, get a hold of yourself. Come on. We need to help the others. Amara! And I'll try to shake her a little.
Do we have smelling salts or first aid kit, the equivalent here?
You might have in the med bay. And A, you don't have it immediately to hand. B, you're in spacesuits, remember?
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're all protected. You're going to protect yourself.
Not too helpful. Okay.
And you can't. Does anybody on the bridge have psychoanalysis?
Just a base 10%.
Same.
Can
I roll it anyway?
Give it a go. Never know. You never know. You might be able to bring her out.
29.
79.
Now, Amara, You could possibly try and, steer her away from the object that's causing her so much distress. Possibly, grab her in the microgravity, move her bodily away, get her to stare at the wall or something like that, and that might bring her out of it.
I'll definitely try.
Okay, so, all right, just leave her there for now. And
I'm trying to think what Darcy, being the systems specialist, AI specialist, like I'm guessing Darcy really knows the station inside and out and would have some tricks to try um to make contact with the doctor and Gia, or to open that door. Do we have external lights that we can turn on so we can see these things better?
unfortunately, and this is the kind of thing that Amara would have been great for if only she was still compos mentis. Um, this is a great opportunity to use the hacking skill. The unfortunate
I
thing
have
is,
hacking.
the unfortunate thing is the successful hack locks you out. And breaking it, you're basically going to have to look at a backdoor or some other alternative system to access option for somehow trying to get into the science lab if that's your main goal right now. Unfortunately, one other thing that Jerome has discovered is that you're now locked out of long distance comms as well.
I mean,
So
figures.
yeah, the somehow where you are now no longer to communicate, and at this point you would be operating under the assumption that this was the incoming creatures, whatever they are doing it, except that you now have this highly suspicious, bizarre voice coming out pretending to be Dr. Toth, urging you to essentially attack, defend yourselves against these incoming things.
Oh, is he still talking to us?
No, he just basically broadcast
Just
this
that one time.
appeal and has now fallen silent, and you have no longer any contact with the med lab.
I think we need to try go back to the med lab. We'll just try and cut through the door physically, not try to hack it open. Just cut through the door physically.
Well,
I'll push
are they in
Tamara there in
science or
0G.
med? I forget.
Science, right? They were in
Right,
science
but
because
we
they were
want to take Amara to med, right?
That would be a very reasonable option. If there's anything that can snap her out of it, you can probably in the med lab.
They are next to each other. Let's just go to the bottom together. I'll take
But
Amara
what about
to med.
these things attacking our station? Are we just gonna be like, oh well, they're gonna get here and
First, we need to regroup. We'll need all the manpower we can get. Then we'll take care of the next thing.
is there any way to like lock doors or anything? Like, I'm assuming
again,
what?
It's at this point, while any is still operational, you can try AI to get her to do it.
Okay.
However, with her degradation, the maximum chance of doing that successfully would be her current capability, which is now down to 60%.
Where's my AI? I know I have it. There it is. I have AI at 50 anyway, so
Go ahead and roll. This is basically in order to try and get her to do something.
24.
Okay, so what is it that you'd like to do?
Make sure that we lock down everything on the outside so nothing can, just easily get in. I'm assuming that they're going to have, their own methods for getting into our station, but do what I can. And also if there's any lights so that we can see these things better, turn them on. And lastly, I guess this is a bunch of rolls, but figure out if there's any way to get the science, get through to science.
I am sorry, Darcy. I have been completely locked out of the communicating network to the science module. This appears to be part of the overall degradation of my system. Fortunately, I am able to access the external lighting and also all external access locks. The lights are now turned up to full and the access locks have been sealed. That said, I cannot promise that my continuing degradation will not continue.
Very good, Anion. And I'm so sorry that I'm not able to help with the degradation. Maybe do everything you can to protect yourself.
Understood, Darcy, and thank you for your consideration. So if you're going back down, you're taking Amara with you, correct?
Yeah, because it's basically 0G. I'll just push her with me.
Drop her down the central shaft, back to med lab. Those doors at least appear to be functioning, and there's no issue with getting back in there. I'm not going to make you take a test for bringing Amara around. I presume you can sort of pour spirits down her throat or whatever is necessary to bring her back. And so she comes back to consciousness. Meanwhile, as what was once Joshua Makepeace is still busy monologuing.
If we're in that room, I mean, it's the science module, so we probably know everything in it about like the back of our hand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's a way I can get a message to those outside this room by, I don't know, leaning on a particular panel and Morse code tapping something that they will hear and that our sphere will...
Physically knocking on the wall. Could work.
Well, I don't want to go bang on it because what's his name will stop me. But if I could do something that's sending maybe it's just turning a light off and on really quick somewhere else on the station.
It's worth a try. It is a risk.
Yeah. Well, I'll let him monologue and I'll...
Well, I was going to say, do I need to make a roll to figure out if that's what he's doing? Because if I can figure that out, or if I realize that that's what he's going to try to do, I'm going to try to distract our new friend.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. Make an insight roll.
Okay. This is not going to end well.
It's worth a try.
Nope.
Okay, no, I mean, on the other hand, it's quite reasonable that you would want to engage Joshua. Anyway, for instance, there's plenty you can find out. How come he was supposed to be an Elizabethan or Jacobean gentleman? Where did that come from?
Yeah,
because
so I'll
indulge your curiosity at the expense of his obviously appalling appetite for grandiloquent monologues.
So I'll so I was thinking about this, anyways. So what happened to Joshua? Were you just pretending that whole time?
Oh, Joshua was my first.
Your first?
My first human, that was. Yes, he was quite insane by the end. But I learned so much from him.
So how many humans have you had?
Oh, dozens. The Migo, they appreciated how much faster I could assimilate information. It was really quite quite the contest to extract it at a reasonable speed out of their pitiful little minds. But yes, that was my role, and well, it's certainly given me quite the insight into the peculiarities of your species. Make another insight roll at this point.
My insight is very low.
This is what comes of being too much of a scientist. Dr.
Right.
Toth, you also care to make an insight roll? I think yours is
009. But what is my insight? I got a 50. So that's I don't know if we have hard. Oh, it's doubles. That's right.
It's zero,
Yeah,
but
so-
it is 009. It's a good
Just-
solid
yeah.
success. Yeah. Sorry, 60 or 0? Oh,
50.
what was it? 50.
And I got a 9.
No, then you detect that, with insight, which is insight is essentially the passive psychological analysis role. This is how you determine attitudes, whether someone is lying, etc., etc. And you have determined that Joshua has a pathological hatred of humanity. It has been exposed to your assumption is that it has been exposed to these pitifully slow, pathetic mammalian minds for so long that it has developed an implacable, murderous, pathological hatred towards the entire species. And given this thing's potential power, that it is apparently able to manipulate, it's got a very, very capable intellect, apparently. It probably can put any to shame, and it is able to manipulate electronic objects, potentially even do a magneto and manipulate ferrous objects, but certainly manipulate the entire electronic space around it. You can imagine what it might be capable of. And it's just as you reach that interesting assumption that the door slides open.
Our door?
And there in the doorway is the cat. Its little face staring up at you, and it says, with what appears to be an atrocious attempt to try and make feline vocal cords and feline verbal apparatus form human words. And it
shit.
says, leave immediately.
The fact that the door opened. Yeah, I think I'm going to dive for the door.
Yeah, okay.
So probably do the same.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Dive. Make me an athletics roll for this, or 0G, whichever is higher.
Yeah, I got a 22. Please be good. Athletics.
Oh, yes, 22. 22, yeah. Critical success. Yeah.
I rolled a 94. Needless to say,
Faster
that did
than
not
your
make
fucking
it.
synapses.
I'm just shocked by the cat. The cat talking to me.
Dr. Toth managed to make the most amazing microgravity dive straight over the head of the cat and out of the port. Unfortunately, Joe's not quite so lucky. What? And you hear this scream of rage from the other side of the sealant in the lab, and the laser flashes around in your direction. See if you can make a dodge. What's your dodge?
30. Oh, I actually made it. 26 out of 30.
Okay, so well, tell me how you managed to dodge that the hard X-rays that suddenly zap in your direction and sear a line across the bulkheads around you.
I think I just dive behind, so the laser is on the other side of the window, right?
Yeah, and it is shining through it, but
Right.
obviously here's that for all his grandiloquence, Joshua Thing has not quite got aiming down pat yet.
Yeah, and I think that, because I have used this before, I know exactly how far it can turn and how quickly it can, and so just dove out of the way faster or at an angle that I knew that it could not compensate for quickly enough, and try to get behind something that may provide a little bit of protection. I realize it's they're X-rays, and there's only so much you can do, but
Yep. So with that, you find the little sort of countertop or whatever that you've hidden behind does just give you enough cover to manage to follow Dr. Tove and dive out of the airlock. And
I snaggle the cat as I'm going out.
Leave me.
Oh,
I need to complete my tasks.
and the cat sort of stares at the doorway into the lock panel for the science module airlock, which slides shut again, sealing, you hope, Joshua Thing inside.
holy shit! We got to get the others.
yes.
Join your friends. I will assist, and the cat gallops off down the inner ring.
But is the cat on our side? I don't understand what's going on.
I don't know. I don't know if that thing in there is doing some weird psycho. That thing's fucking crazy. We got to find the others. I hope they're okay.
I'm
Are they in the med
assuming
lab
we
right next
heard-
door?
Yeah, we're right next door, so we probably heard you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you guys!
The cat can talk.
Cat can talk.
Amara, thank God you're okay.
Mujia Kia Huhai?
Let me recap. No, let me summarize. Giant space shrimp are coming to get us. The AI is falling apart. Amara kind of freaked out, and I think we got to get out of here, right, boss?
Okay.
We definitely
Joshua
need to get
isn't
out of here.
Joshua. Joshua isn't Joshua. Joshua is some alien thing that absorbed Joshua a long, long time ago. It's been
Oh,
fucking
good. Then we don't have
us.
to worry about saving Joshua. We can leave him to.
No, we want to
space
destroy
shrimp.
that thing. I don't know how we destroy it, but let the space shrimp have it. If that's what they're coming for.
Did
Yeah,
you
let's
all
get in
not
the
hear
shuttle
me?
and get out of here.
The cat can freaking talk. It said that it can save us or something. I don't know, but it could talk, and then it ran off. Can it always do this?
Mujia? Kia Mujia?
It can talk English, okay? English.
Amara, are you all right? Can you still speak English?
I'll go take a look at Amara because I'm the doctor.
Namaste?
Yeah.
You're speaking Hindustani? Does anybody know Hindustani?
No.
Nahin man
Might?
Angaji Balatahun.
Amara, gentlemen, Amara Mayan, you get a brief communication from Eni in Maori, correct? And Amara, one of the drones is no longer under my control and has just exited its parking position in the drone bay.
Fuck it, I'm not going to continue trying to speak Hindi.
Thank God for that. Sorry, I didn't know Hindi or Maori in that position. And
It was Hindi. I was pretend she's still speaking Hindi, but she's basically just going to go, I need to sort I need to sort this out, so she'll go along to the panel. I apologize for any Hindi speakers out there.
and or Maori speakers for my mistake.
Or now, yeah.
So right now you're all still in the med lab. You have just been informed, and I assume that Annie will immediately inform everybody else in English as well, that one of the drones has just left its silo.
Probably under control of Joshua. We've got to defend ourselves so that those things can come and take it. I think that's all they want. Didn't they say no hostile intent?
Yeah, Amara's going to sneak over and try and go to the drone controls to see if she can sort that out.
Okay, what, if anything, do the rest of you want to do?
I'll ask Chen about the cat, like,
Priority.
and ask where it is, and I think we need to go after the. I think we'll just need to take the shuttle. If they want to take Joshua, they can take Joshua. We can observe that from space, and if they leave again, we can turn back. Otherwise, we get the hell out of here.
Before Mara left, she would have said, "The cat is." One thing you would have understood in English. She would have said, "The cat is blessed," and then gone back to speaking in Hindi.
I think I could be mistaken, but I think that what those things are is Migo, whatever that is, and they might be able to control the cat. They were the ones speaking, I think.
Now that makes a lot more sense, Doc.
Things controlling a cat makes sense. Okay, whatever. I think we need to get out of here. And somebody said something about destroying something. I think we need to look to Amara for destroying things. I think that's her.
But how are we going to get out? This thing controls the station. It's hacked into everything, including everything connected to it. How are we going to leave?
I don't know.
Darcy, does the shuttle have like manual? Can you shut off like controls from outside, so we only have like analog controls or something?
This is where if we're talking about a skills basis, this is where something like Amara's technology use savvy would come in.
I have technology at 80.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Same again. Yeah, you also will be able to. When it comes
we can
to manually,
we can make sure we're safe from whatever. Well, we can do our best. I mean, this is alien technology, so we can't know what they can do, but we can do our best.
All right. I mean,
agreed.
By
the way, Annie is obviously monitoring this conversation despite her deteriorating state, and she does say the drone appears to be making towards the objects that are approaching us. I am not sure of its purpose, but it appears to be positioning itself potentially to launch the auger probes in their direction.
Can we
self-destruct it?
I am afraid to say that the drone appears to have had its systems completely locked out. I am no longer able to remotely access it.
Joshua.
Do you know who is controlling it?
It's got to be Joshua. What if we find the cat? If we find the cat and tell the cat, then the cat can tell the Miko. Miko can be warned.
Amara, can you send another drone after that first one?
Won't catch it.
I could try, but it wouldn't work. But obviously, Annie would have to translate what I'm saying to you guys because I'm not speaking English.
You can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go looking for the cat.
Do your best.
I can give it a go. she implies.
So, well, while they're looking at it, Darcy, Jerome, what can we do to, I mean, are we going to destroy the station? Are we just going to try to destroy the science module? What can we do?
Um, I have a question for the GM. What do we use to bring in the meteors? What is didn't Could we potentially would Amaro potentially be able to use that for on the drone?
You mean would one drone be able to grab another? Or
Yeah.
absolutely. You can.
Or is there a tractor beam?
Yep. No, unfortunately, not in this universe. However,
Would I be able to rig a drone to go beyond its minimum speed? It might self-destruct, but
that's going to be up to obviously your drone pilot or technology use skills.
okay.
You
Let's
can
test.
also simply fire. You can simply. These drones have essentially six missiles each. You can start firing at the other drone.
Yeah, I've got pretty good drone skills, so let's
Exactly.
give it a go.
Definitely. Well, first of all, either hacking or technology use to lock this drone to your, so that it cannot be hacked externally by anybody else.
Let me just see what's better for me. They're both the same, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll just roll. They're both at the same score on my sheet, so we'll go. 39, which is barely a pass, but is a
It is a
pass.
pass. Okay, so at least you now have full control of that drone, and this. It's probable that Joshua thing will not be able to snatch it away from you. By the way, Darcy, you could also be at the same time trying to, lock out other systems so that Joshua thing can't get access to them, and at least you're reasonably safe for now.
That's a great idea. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that could be done either through AI or through technology use,
Technology use.
Wherever you want to go now. Sorry, hacking at the moment.
But I can use technology use, right?
You can if you want to actually go running around almost doing it physically, which is definitely a good idea, but it's time consuming. It'd be quicker to work through any while any is still up and running.
I'll try to use any then.
Okay.
And if that fails, then I'll do it the manual way. 46, my AI is 50.
Okay, so yeah, you managed essentially for now. Any particular other system you'd like to concentrate on right now?
Well, I definitely want to keep it away from life support as well as away from our escape.
The shuttle.
Making sure it can't, lock us in or keep us from the shuttle.
Right. Okay.
And lastly, self-destruct.
Self-destruct has to be done manually, basically.
Okay. What? No, I don't want to blow us up. I mean, don't let it blow us up. So it has to be done manually, so it can't do it. Good.
Yep. Actually, for that, yeah, make a technology. I think for that, you would have to go down to the reactor core and do a manual lockout through technology use.
What do you think, boss? Should I go down there and protect us, or should we? I personally think, since this thing doesn't have any body that we're aware of, it's not going to be able to do this on its own, but maybe the space shrimp can.
Maybe the space shrimp can. They probably can. They look pretty sophisticated, but how much time would that take? I think it would be safer to just hightail it out of here. Like how much time would it take for us, or how much time would it take for them? I think it's
and maybe
better to just grab everyone and go.
Agreed.
Well, don't
Maybe it's
forget,
like an
they might
old
just
Western, where the sheriff comes into town, collects the bad guy, and leaves. And, as long as we don't get in the way, we're all good.
Yeah, but I'd rather not be on the station for that because maybe they'll do something else, or
Agreed.
maybe Joshua do something freaky. I'd rather be as far away from as possible. Is is everyone still with us? I think the doctor is running around looking for the cat, right?
I'm looking for the cat.
Is the rest still with us, or because the group
I'm
leader
in the drone
take?
room, so
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go with the drone.
he will have gone up to drone control for obvious reasons. So you have the drone under your control. Give me a drone piloting roll.
Okay. Let's. I failed by 1.
Ooh.
Did we spend luck in this?
I can push, right? Still, you can.
There is a system which it's an optional one. I think for now, just to keep things interesting, let's not use it.
That's fair. That's fair.
However, let's see how well they do. How well Joshua has managed to get his drone. Unfortunately, it looks like, well, unfortunately for Joshua Thing, it looks like he hasn't quite got the knack of drone piloting either. And for this turn, at least, his drone is veering off target. And you can, unfortunately, you're having to do this all with, trying to cope with the sensor problems that come when dealing with Migo, but at least you have it because if they're still flashing their lights, you've got a fair idea. And for now, at least, you might have a good run at the drone next turn.
Okay.
You can so when it comes to drone on drone, you can either shoot missiles at it, you can try and grapple it with the grapples. You can do a suicide run on it by just piloting straight into it, or you can fire mining lasers at it, whichever way you wish to go.
Okay. I'll have a think for when it's the next turn.
So, Dr. Toth, give me, I think, a search roll. Let's see if he managed, or an alertness roll. Yeah, give me an alertness roll. See if you managed to find the cat.
Alertness. Alertness.
I think yours is at 40. Yeah, 40%.
Yeah, well, I got 45.
You see a tail just disappearing around the corner of the inner ring. So possibly if you continue chasing, you might be able to catch it, but at the moment you haven't quite caught up with it yet.
Well, if I'm close enough to see the tail, I'll start just yelling out as I'm chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the Miko, the Joshua Thing has launched missiles at you. Something like that. But I'm still trying to catch up.
Yeah, then give me a persuade roll, which you have at 40 as well.
Okay. Oh, I've got it at 40. Shit.
No, good job. Well done. Yeah.
At 56. Yeah, so I did not pass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. But there's a sort of echoing, again, this very, very odd sort of half distorted, half feline voice, which says,
Your assistance not required. We are aware.
And
excellent.
Just disappears up the, you can hear it fading down some ventilator shaft or some such.
I will stand for a moment dumbfounded and then run like hell back to the others.
Yeah, so or basically pretty much all of you convening back in operations then, I assume. By the way, just as regarding what Station Commander Bosch said, do remember that from all you have learned of this species outside so far, they appear to be enthusiasts for basically taking brains and bottling them. Something to bear in mind. No pun intended.
Yeah, but that was hundreds of years ago. Nobody's getting brained anymore.
I'm sure. Yeah.
As long as they don't brain the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Bitty
Priorities.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, everybody, may I alert you, another drone has just left the drone bay.
Uh-oh.
Yanatai.
As I catch up, I'll tell everybody that the cat things, the cat seems to be aware of what's going on. I think those things just want their psychopath back.
Well, they can have them.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's get out of here. Like the boss said, let's get on the shuttle and get out of here.
Well, where are we going?
We need to pick up Amara first. No man left behind.
Amara is just up on is basically the next deck up in the mining control area. That's where the drones are operating from.
Well, that's fine.
Get her and just...
Yeah, but what are we doing? Is anything going to happen to the station, or are we just abandoning it? Abandon ship and nothing else? Or doesn't this place have a self-destruct mechanism or something? Darcy, you run it. Can't we overload the reactor and reverse the polarity or something like that to cause it to explode?
Why would we do that? It's worth billions of dollars. We can always just come back after they're gone.
Yeah, I think what Toph said is correct.
Really?
We don't have any indication.
What if it's crawling with these things? We don't know if they're going to be friendly to us moving.
They won't bomb them from space.
We'll be long gone from here then. That's HQ's problem if it's crawling with these things.
I'm not sure blowing it up would do any good. We couldn't penetrate that silver sphere in there.
It would at least launch it into the depths of space. But all right, you're right. Let's just go. Let's just go.
So some other poor unfortunate soul in a few thousand years picks it up and this repeats again. Like,
do you know what? It could just be these things are friendly. I mean, yeah, okay, they've abducted people, but we've done just as much things to animals and stuff. Maybe they just didn't know we were intelligent.
That seems fair, but Joshua also seemed friendly at first.
Well, that guy was a psychopath. That's why, though. He's not from Earth either. He's from Neptune.
While you're having this discussion, you suddenly hear another instance of that strange buzzing voice coming over the internal comms saying,
warning, entity not mammalian, life form origin Neptune, electrosensitive, extremely malignant.
Is that all from any?
No, it's not. And then it basically...
It's our buzzing voice again.
I am unable to account for this. There is another system interference. Anomaly. Any is down to 50%.
Talking about Joshua.
Yeah, if those things that are coming are our allies, then they're telling us how to combat this Joshua.
Electricity?
It's more of a warning. Electrosensitive rather implies not that it's sensitive to electricity, because as far as you can tell, unfortunately, that vessel contains hydrogen compressed to the state of a metal. at which point it becomes a superconductor. If it's capable of doing that and retaining its integrity, it's pretty damn sure that there's nothing you can do to harm that.
Let's get in the shuttle and go away, and then come back and see.
All right, let's grab Amara and go. Where are the shuttles at? Are they in the drone place?
There's essentially just a landing pad a short distance away from the station itself, across the surface of Urizen. Not too far, but certainly far enough to reach.
But we would need to get the suits that are in the center to go outside, right?
We have suits on,
right,
but they are not very good suits.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask, do they have like good spacesuits in the shuttle as well, or do we need to go to the Eva hatch to get like better suits, just in case?
It would be very chancy to try to get across in the suits you have. Essentially, as long as you can avoid touching anything, and particularly as long as you can avoid touching the surface, you might just about be okay. Problem being that the surface, of Urizen is pretty much cooled to close to absolute zero. And therefore, as soon as you touch it, you are in, unless you have a properly insulated suit, you are in grave danger. Furthermore, if you touch the wrong part of the surface, you trigger an immediate explosive reaction because, your body heat immediately sublimes this long frozen gas, and therefore you get a small-scale gas explosion.
Wow. Okay.
Essentially, your best bet if you are doing it that way is hope like crazy that that you can somehow jump straight from the station airlock to the shuttle, which you can just about with a good run.
Jerome's a good boss. I'm sure he's had us practice our station evacuation. So, we all know the right thing to do.
I think
get into our suits and go.
Yeah, I think Chen had a good call. Get in the proper spacesuits first, and then go.
Yeah, that is quite doable, and then that would be much safer.
We'll have propulsion and everything. So
everybody, may I draw your attention to one consideration?
Always hit me, Annie.
The second drone appears to be taking up a position above the shuttle.
Well, the drones are impenetrable to attack. We can blow them up.
Well, that's what Amara is currently trying to do.
Have drone 3 destroy drone 2.
Sorry, just to clarify. There is the drone
there's the drone on
Amigo, which is the one that Mara is chasing. The second drone is another one that has left the drone silo and is now taking up a position above the shuttle.
Which means you guys have to come up and tell me to change.
Meanwhile, Amara presumably going after that first drone.
Yeah, because I'm unaware of anything else because I've been focused on.
Go ahead, shoot.
Okay, that's good.
It is a roll. Let's see.
I assume it's just drone again.
Yep.
Okay, that is a success. Just a regular success, but a success.
Now, with that success, were you going to fire any of the dumb rockets at the other drone, or were you going to just ram into it? Your choice.
She was just going to fire a rocket because she's unaware of... Obviously, she's unaware, but she knows there's other drones. So if one drone can be... She's smart enough to understand that if one drone can be hacked into, maybe the other drones will. So she don't want to risk damaging this drone in case she needs to, which obviously she will have to, but she doesn't know.
Yeah, and incidentally, while Amara's busy on this, those others of you who are able can also hack or use technology used to manually lock out the remaining drones.
That's what I was going to ask. I'd like to use technology for that, please.
Yep, go ahead and make a roll.
77.
Oh, critical.
And my technology use is 80.
Okay, you have now successfully locked, presumably by engaging some kind of manual coupling, you've now basically been able to lock down the other 3 drones. Obviously an advantage in this situation.
Okay. Chen, go up and inform Mara of the other drone.
Pity then about the thing that slams into your back. Darcy.
What? Something just slammed into my back?
Two people were talking at the same time. We didn't hear what you said.
Sorry, yes. Jerome, what was it that you were saying?
I was going to try and ask Chen if he can go upstairs, inform Amara about the other drone hanging above the shuttle, because that seems like a pretty big priority.
Okay.
Chen would just immediately take off, if we can.
Meanwhile, Darcy, you take, let me see how much. You take 1 point of damage. There are these little things called 8-balls that fly around the station. Normally you just ignore them. They are tiny little manipulator and sensor bots that are normally part of, part of any sort of sensory and manipulator system. They're like the ones that have already been used on the space station. Yeah, they're only about the size of an 8-ball, which is still nasty enough when it comes slamming into your back.
Yeah, for sure. Can I grab it and smash it?
Yep, absolutely you can. I mean, they're not terrific. Yeah, they're pretty damn fragile fuckers. So there's not much problem putting it out of commission. But that's obviously, there's another thing that you've neglected to take care of in terms of locking down all the potential vulnerabilities.
Then I'd like to do that next.
Okay, go ahead and make a roll.
29.
Okay, yeah, you've now at least locked down all of the 8-balls. So those are no longer going to pose a danger, but on the other hand, what else in the station might still pose a danger? Amara, when you fired that rocket at the other drone, were you going for one of the dumb mining drills, or were you actually putting in a warhead on this thing?
I was putting a warhead. I wanted to destroy it.
Okay, then make me a 2d10 roll.
Okay. 8 and 6. So from 2d10.
15. Okay, so you knocked a fairly big chunk out of it. Unfortunately, it's not quite dead yet. I mean, it was still successful. It was on target. It was a good roll. You've done a fair amount of damage to it, but you have not knocked it out completely. Fortunately, it appears that the Migo have got the message, and they're now taking action themselves. You see one of them point one of those objects that it was holding in its front claspers, nippers, whatever they were at it. And you see the drone, suddenly you see the drone sort of doesn't quite shiver, but it's without seeing sparks flashing from its outside, you're pretty sure that it's received some immense shock. And it suddenly sort of tips over end, drifts. It's obviously now dead and out of control. Starts drifting away inert. So that drone has actually been knocked out by your potential allies.
Okay.
Can I do like I don't know, an intelligence roll or something like that to think of what other systems
Absolutely.
this
Definitely.
97.
The stress is just too much. And as you do so, one of the internal fire alarms goes off. You have got a fire in the central conduit. Somehow, Joshua Thing has managed to trigger an overload or short circuit or in some other way has managed to start a fire, which is now between you and your potential exit. And if you don't put it out pretty fast, you're going to have to improvise very, very severely in order to be able to escape, if you can.
Any fire suppression, central corridor, central ring.
I am endeavoring to engage fire suppression, Darcy. However, I'm afraid that my internal systems have been badly compromised and I am not able to access those facilities.
We shut down all power to the science lab, the science unit. I'm asking Darcy.
I don't know.
Can I? You can, but this will require I think for this basically because systems throughput right now is so problematic. The only way that you can be 100% sure of it is essentially going down there with an axe, aka technology use, doing a hands-on job.
At this point, I'd be pretty happy to swing an axe at something.
Yeah,
Any
now.
damage that we do, we can repair later.
Yeah.
The thing is if we deprive it of any ability to communicate with outside that room,
right. Cut it off. We can prevent. We don't have to keep chasing fire after fire after fire.
Potentially. Yeah. Unfortunately, you're not 100% sure that it's dependent on, it's already been able to access external resources.
Right.
Could work.
Maybe too late.
It may have.
Yeah, but it's not magic. It's got to be using something to otherwise it would just take over everything and just kill us all. And
it is I'm not going to make you make an intelligence roll for this because you pretty much deduced it already. No matter how vainglorious Joshua Thing is, obviously it has limited resources in terms of concentration, limited resources in terms of understanding, and as far as you can tell so far, your impression is that it appears only able to manipulate one system at a time. So you can progressively diminish his resources, challenge his attention span, and in this way, hopefully wear him down.
Or could we also find a way to overload his system so that he's got too much?
Very possibly.
To try and worry about.
There are other options, incidentally. Let's first of all deal with the fire.
Do we have any manual fire extinguishers?
Yes, however, fire. What's all around you?
Air.
Oxygen.
ice gas. Yeah, and we're in an oxygen-rich environment.
Vacuum.
Vacuum. Yeah.
If you can trigger an explosive decompression, or simply open a lock in the central conduit, then you can put out the fire. It's risky as things stand. In fact, I would say that whatever brave person is going to do this will have to make a successful technology use roll and make a successful luck roll to avoid damage from the explosive decompression and from the fire.
Is a luck roll just a 50-50 chance? Is that?
I don't agree. 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can give it a shot if you want, boss.
The fire.
I mean, how good is your tech use is pretty high, right?
80.
Yeah, okay. Because I could go as well, but I think you're a little more skilled and versed in these things than me. If you're willing to go yourself, then by all
Yeah.
means. But you
I
don't need
mean,
to.
we're gonna die if we don't get this under control anyway. So
This,
we're
by
gonna
the way,
we're gonna die
Go-
from the space shrimp. We're gonna die from the fire. We're gonna die from Joshua. We're whatever. We gotta take one thing at a time. So
Well, good luck.
thanks.
So, Darcy,
Okay. 4 and 5 chance.
so
70.
Suton, 70. So, Suton, you rush forward. You are able to get to one of the manual, get to an external release lever for one of the external airlocks, shut off the connecting locks to the other parts of the station, isolate the central conduit, and pull the magic lever, and the air gushes out. You are able to hold on, and the fire is extinguished.
Do I need to make a luck roll now?
No, I think that with a successful technology roll, you did it well enough that you managed to escape.
Fire's out.
Controllable explosive decompression, not quite so explosive.
Hey, couldn't we open a lock in the science lab and just blow him out to space? I mean,
Not
flying out and roll across the surface, but they'll pick him
I'd
up.
love to give that a shot. That's a great idea.
if any of all of you want to take a brief ask the GM timeout to figure out what you can do, you can.
I mean, I'm not sure what the doors are made of, but we have the tools to blow a hole in it, right? I mean, we cannot communicate with Amara because otherwise she could use her drone rockets, but
You can probably draw diagrams for Amara. Amara. Is the rest of the crew able to communicate with you in your current condition?
1 second, okay.
Probably not. But anyway, in principle, you have mining charges which are now available from the other 3 drones that have now been decommissioned and are sitting there in the drone silos. Or Amara could launch a rocket at it herself.
They can now talk to Amara.
What a relief. So there is that option too. You can basically use the drone to start trying to punch holes in the outside, punch enough holes in the outside of the science module to try and get Joshua ejected into the void.
The door from the science module to the rest of the station is still open, right?
No, that was closed by the cat.
Okay, it was closed again. So we'll not be depriving like half the station of oxygen.
No.
I mean, I'd say go for it. I'll walk up to Amara and ask or whatever.
Well,
Or Jen.
Go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I had run up there to tell Amara to go after the drone that was above the shuttle. I assume, by this time I probably would have gotten up there and been just screaming at her, the shuttle, the drone at the shuttle, and see where it goes from there.
Yep. So that is now, I presume, Amari, you're now refocusing on the other drone. By the way, there is also one option that you probably haven't explored. Dr. Toth, maybe it's time to go find the cat again.
All right, I don't know where the cat went, though.
Would be worth looking, because it seems right now that the cat is your main way of communicating with Amigo. And if you want to coordinate with them...
Yeah, I, for one, think we should do what the cat says. I'm going to go find the cat. I forget suddenly what we named the cat.
Gertrude.
Gertrude. Gertrude, where are you?
So off. Give me an alertness roll.
I just did. I rolled 23 out of 40.
Excellent. Yes. So you see that tail around the corner, and Gertrude is looking up at you in the most uncat-like acuity. Head on one side.
Gertrude, are you the Migo?
This organism is at present under control of the ones outside the station.
Trying desperately to find a way to at least get ourselves to safety. We have no reason whatsoever to stop you from taking Joshua. We're glad for you to take him. He's trying to destroy us all.
Your station's systems appear to be resistant.
Yes, but they're failing slowly. Our own AI is not able to fight against Joshua's hacking abilities.
What is your intention?
Our intention is to, I don't know our intention. Our intention is to save ourselves. We don't care if you take that thing. We don't mean you any harm, and we don't want, you said no hostile intent. We leave each other in peace. Maybe we become friends. I don't know.
Your position is noted. We will observe your actions and attempt to coordinate.
Do you have any suggestions as to how to stop Joshua?
The vessel is impregnable. Return it into space. We will retrieve it.
All right, we're going to try. We're going to try and open a hole in the side so that it'll go flying out.
This solution seems acceptable. We will prepare.
All right. Thanks, Gertrude.
At that point, Gertrude sort of shakes herself, looks up at you and goes, meow.
Okay. I'm going to scoop her up and
Yep.
and run back upstairs with her or wherever I'm running
Gertrude
to.
is back to being her old catty self and is sort of rubbing against you affectionately as you rescue her.
The aliens outside know what our intention is, and they find it acceptable. If we can blow Joshua out into space, they'll pick him up and take care of the problem.
All right. Let's go up to the drone bay, inform the others, regroup, go.
All regrouping basically to look over Amara's shoulder.
Yeah, Amara will be happy to blow a hole in the side.
You could, yeah. However, you've first of all got to deal with that other drone, which is obviously very much still under Joshua's control. And so you, fortunately, because Joshua appears to be still a little clumsy, and these drones, incidentally, are fairly old, worn devices, so they're not as quick as they might be. You do get first shot at the other drone.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's give it a go.
And I assume once again you're firing rockets, right?
Yes. I rolled a very lucky number. Not 13. I rolled 11.
Very lucky.
Well,
Very lucky.
Unfortunately for my hopes of building great tension for the finish, that was a critical. And your missile goes bang on target and crunch it essentially hits the fusion drive of the other drone, which instantly basically erupts into a shower of debris and radiation. And you've crippled essentially. It looks like unless there's unfortunately that problem that Darcy was great at looking out the drones, but appears to have forgotten that they had spider bots, and those spider bots are now crawling down the outside of the station towards the science module. Better make these next shots count.
Let's hope my luck has not run out.
Definitely. And everybody's luck. Otherwise, someone is going to have to take a dodgy spacewalk. Far away. Give me another roll.
Okay. Sorry, I've got cats. Got cats running around underneath me right now.
Yeah, obviously Gertrude inspired them, clearly.
I've gone the opposite direction.
What
I've
was
gone
the-
from 1-1 to 9-9.
Oh dear.
It was the cats.
The cats made the table move, which then moved my dice. I'll blame the cats.
Those two, I mean, that is for this system just about from the absolute best roll you can get to the absolute worst.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I can only gift that with basically the missile you were attempting to fire misfired, explode because this is the kind of shit aging technology that the company leaves you to tackle the corrosive effects of deep space with. Exploded in there essentially while it was being launched, blew the drone backwards, and the drone has now essentially gone backwards straight into operations.
Oh,
Fortunately, you were all in the drone hangar at the time.
Fortunately. My prayer is still working.
You are now all going to have to make, basically, you were in your vac suits, which is lucky. You're now going to have to spacewalk down. If this is going to work, you're going to have to grab one of the charges, explosive charges, manually from the drone bay. You're going to have to take one of those down to the science module, and you're going to have to blow Joshua out into space that way. Piece of cake. Everybody ready?
Yeah. All right.
I assume that before leaving drone control, Dr. Toph puts Gertrude into an airtight container.
Yeah.
Okay, who has the highest zero-G maneuvering skill?
I'm sorry, the highest.
0G.
I have 40.
I got 40.
40.
I
Who
got
wants
0.
Sorry, that was Annie speaking in the background. Did you hear that, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Little.
Alexa! Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Annie is deteriorating to a very low point of functionality now. If you prefer a slightly less risky option, Darcy and Jerome, you could go straight down to the fusion core and set the station to self-destruct.
Yeah, but then we all die, right?
No, you can still make it across to the shuttle and escape that way.
And I dealt with the drone that was above it, so
I mean, you've now managed to knock a vast hole in the outside of the station anyway. It's
it's
not
the
in
wrong,
very good shape.
just the
Would we-
wrong part.
With where the very large hole in the station is, would we be able to? Would we still need that extra spacesuit in order to get there, or is it close enough that we could jump?
It's if somebody competent goes across and rigs a line gun, which is very, very doable, from the station directly to the shuttle. Yeah, you could do that. Still leaves the problem of the blast. I mean, essentially, you could probably, the MiGo, you might want to have to inform the MiGo that the station is going to self-destruct, and I get that.
Right.
You appear to understand Morse code. But if you go down to the bottom core and set the station to self-destruct, at least you don't have to fight off Joshua's spider bots, which are now going towards the science module, presumably with the intention of extracting Joshua, taking him over to the shuttle so that he can take the shuttle back home to Neptune.
How many spider bots are we talking? How big are they?
Spider-bot, it's 2 spider bots per drone, so you've got at least 6. They are fairly dangerous. They don't have you've got laser. You've presumably still be able to get your laser carbines. You can use those against them. However, they don't have that much in the way of long-range firepower, but they do have things like their own little maneuvering thrusters, so they can perfectly easily launch themselves at you.
And Joshua also still has the X-ray thing.
Inside the science module, yes, he does.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
he doesn't have
almost want to
hands.
fight. Yeah. I almost want to fight them off, but I feel like the safest is to just self-destruct and GTFO. So let's just Darcy and me go self-destruct. The rest go to the shuttle. Get ready for us.
Were you
Yeah.
saying something, Doctor?
I was just gonna say we still have to get to the shuttle, and we've got all the spider bots to deal with anyway. So
Well, we have all these guns, so
how
you guys
long?
can shoot them
How
up on the way.
how long until self-destruct? It's not instantaneous. It's
Oh, it's
like
going to be
5 hours.
No, it's going to be your usual alien, 5 minutes to reach space, safe distance or whatever. Minutes rather than hours, but
Let's see, we just crash something into the external window that looks out from the science place and shatter the barrier.
you could
Everything will come.
perfectly well lob. For instance, what is quite doable is you run a line from the hole in operations to the shuttle. You commando slide along it, and you lob bombs at the science module on your way.
That would be faster, wouldn't it?
We can at least try it.
How many bombs do we have to throw? Like, how many chances do we get?
Again, you've got six mining charges per drone, and you manage to isolate 3 drones. So you've got 18.
How big are the mining charges? Like, how many can we physically carry?
Oh, you can easily carry. I'm assuming 0G. You can easily, or practically 0G.
Okay.
Let's do that. Just set a line to the shuttle, lob them
Okay,
from.
Whatever you say, boss.
someone with a good 0G maneuvering skill, which I think is
40.
Darcy, you're good
40.
for this. Also, potentially Amara.
I think Ja and Jerome should do it.
I'll go.
I
I'll
think
do
we're all at
something.
40 barring Toff, I think.
Well, Jerome, you and I have to go to the are we
No.
we're not going to do the self-destruct anymore, so yeah, never mind.
No. I'll try. I'll do the 0G. I'll set the line. So just one 0G, right?
Yep, give me a roll.
Is there any way we can assist?
34.
Never
Way to
mind.
go.
Yep. You
Yes.
manage. You take the line gun. You line it up on the exterior surface of the shuttle, and with remarkable accuracy, face it, for once Jerome really has earned his keep. You fire the line across to the other stage, to the shuttle, and all of you can now basically hitch to the line and propel yourselves across to the shuttle. And
You still want to lob explosives while they're going,
Yep.
right?
yes, you can both lob explosives and or use lasers as well.
I have a laser, so I could.
Yeah, the lasers aren't quite, it's going to take them a little longer, but it's still doable. So who wants to have first lob?
I will do a laser at some point.
Athletics. Everybody has athletics at least base 30. So who would like to go first?
Ja will go first.
Okay, go ahead and make me your roll.
Frisbee.
97.
Fortunately, that wasn't a fumble in this system. However, the bomb does explode on the surface and sends up a nice plume of gas. Next try.
Yeah, I don't know if I could lob, but I don't if someone passed me something because I have 50 in athletics. But
Go ahead, go for it. Yep, let's have a look. See how well you
let's
do.
go.
Just do not fumble.
I got my actual lucky number because it's my I don't know why I'm doxing, but it's my house number, 44.
Oh, Jesus. It's another crit. So, once again demonstrating how insufferably invaluable she is, Amara lobs a magnificent curve in microgravity that lands right on the external access lock and blows. And you see this great plume of, exploding air, etc., as the science lab explosively decompresses, and the very satisfying and fulfilling sight of this cylinder, right, gushing out, caught in the blast of the air that is gushing out into space, tumbling end over end towards them waiting Migo.
That's what he gets for preferring Hamlet to Macbeth.
Indeed. And
Was it him?
after that, you all slide safely and successfully into the shuttle. You set the automatic systems. By the way, there's no self-destruct set, is there? The station, despite its atrocious condition, is still in one piece.
They can repair it.
Yeah, you settle down in your cryopods. You set the autopilot to return you to Neptune and take off.
Send him a message beforehand telling him what happened. Yeah.
And on your way back, you're suddenly woken up. Your ship has been intercepted, as far as you can see, by what appears to be a fast, highly advanced, heavily armed UNOSA vessel. A single crew member has come aboard. He has brought you all round out of cryosleep. We require immediate debriefing before we can admit you for UNOSA quarantine and decontamination protocols. Please give me a full account of what occurred.
Together or separately?
Together we'll be fine.
Just tell him the truth.
Yeah.
We got this
You're in
brain
charge.
cylinder. I'll tell the truth. We got this brain cylinder. We started talking with him. He claimed to be some Joshua Makepeace from the 15th or 16th century. He was like a malign being from Neptune. Migo, some insect-like creatures came to pick him back up, and this Joshua thing just played havoc on our system. So we just had to evacuate to save everybody's lives.
In our defense, the cat did tell us to do that.
We did bring the cat, right?
Oh yes, Gertrude is still there. She's about the
Yes.
only one who's still in cryosleep. So obviously he's not going to interrogate the cat.
Oh, if only he knew. Well, the Migo are not here anymore. So, but yeah, I'll be truthful with them, and I don't care if they believe me or not. I'm sticking to my story, and anything they go ahead.
Well, it's certainly an extraordinary tale, but the circumstances do appear to bear you out. Just look this way, please. There's a sort of flash. You wake up weeks later on Neptune, having been retrieved by another UNOSA ship with absolutely no recollection of what happened. You are then subject to intensive interrogation, which you are completely unable to respond satisfactorily to. You're kept essentially in detention on Neptune until the company has had time to send a fresh ship out there to see what the state is of the Station Zeta, which they find to be in an atrociously dilapidated, damaged condition. They conclude, because there doesn't, any somehow appears to have had her data cores wiped as well. There's no remaining recording of what actually happened. They assume that this was human error. You spend the rest of your days assigned to whatever miserable dead end positions that the company can find you. And that's the end of the scenario.
Bummer.
Oh no. I was going to ask, like, is there no data on the shuttle about this, or on our suits, like some cameras in our heads?
No, they erased everything.
Really,
They would have erased.
We got in our lives.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Come on, not only Men in Black, but remember the Migo. These are the arch architects of mental manipulation and memory erasure. Never mind taking people's brains out of their heads and putting them in bottles.
Fair.
If I had said that it was a lean, sandy-haired man that came on board to interview it all, would it have made it any more on point?
I mean, Jerome he's a honest guy. He'll tell the company what he thinks he should say, like the truth, right?
Yeah, good call that. Really. Is there anything more that you'd like to know or about, the situation, the circumstances, etc.?
We should have lied at the end.
So
It wouldn't have helped, but still.
it wouldn't have
I
helped.
know.
So are you telling us then that the ones who erased our memory were the Miko?
They were agents of the Migo.
Oh,
It's
okay.
exactly the same as, what's his name, Mike Quondam Guide Noise back in old Vermont. He was an agent of the Migo who presumably still maintain exactly the same clandestine network in space as they formerly did on Earth.
The brain
So
in
that's
the
why we've
jar.
never heard of them.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. The brain in the jar creature came from Neptune,
Yeah.
and we ended up on Neptune. Is that just coincidence? Are we like?
No, it's not.
The station.
If things had gone slightly differently, and if Joshua Thing had escaped, he would have gone back to Neptune. He would have killed you all in the process, or at least that was his plan. And he would have gone back down into the super compressed hydrogen seas of Neptune, and in a few millennia, the Neptunian beings would have erupted from Neptune and exterminated the human race.
So how did the brain case get to where we found it? Is there a story behind that?
Because way back in the day, Amigo, remember that in The Whisperer in Darkness, there is one section where I think Akeley says that talks about one of the cylinders that he spoke to is a being from Neptune, and says, my, great God, what if you could only see what body this creature had?
Yeah.
And that is the one in the jar.
Gotcha.
He has been Joshua Thing was basically extracted from Neptune by the Migo, who knows how long ago. And because of his incredibly fast, superconducting mental processes, he was then used by the Migo as an interrogation tool. And he was put to work mining all their other finds, including a lot of humans, for information. And eventually, for some whatever reason, he was being transported back to Yoggoth by the Mi-Go and accidentally got dropped off along the way. And there to, stay dreaming and going gradually more and more insane and more hatefully vengeful until you found him.
They probably got sick of his chatter. Yeah.
I like the fact that it goes back into the actual Whispers in the Dark, which is good.
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much good
All right.
stuff.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's go ahead and finish up. Our players included Kuhn Lighton, Tyler Hudak, Steve Anderson, Josh Harwood, and myself, with Paul St. John Mackintosh as the Game Master. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu Eternal role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.